Spike.
Welcome in to another episode of Scarves and Spikes. Sydney, Tyler, and Tommy with you. Tommy, what is so funny?
The entire time I just kept saying California Girls. It's in my head, and now it's in my entire family's head, and I just keep saying California Girls, and everyone put your hands up, and then woo, 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 woo. That's all I've been doing for like an hour.
You know that Katy Perry flow right now?
I mean, I didn't know who wrote it at the moment.
That was Katy Perry. Yes.
Well, now you do.
Just so you're aware. Just so you're aware. How are you guys doing, by the way? How's everything? Good? Bad? Okay?
Quite well. It's been a busy week.
Quite well.
I say week. It's like a week and a half.
Yeah, half
it's
a week.
It's just been nonstop.
How so?
I mean, in a good way. She Believes Cup was busy.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. being in Atlanta, busy. Atlanta, busy. And then normal life work, new job description. It's been a busy business.
Very nice. Yeah, you and I were there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Tommy was there at lore.com. U.S. winning in a penalty shootout to defeat the team up north, I guess we should call them. Canada, our old
reaches
CONCACAF rivals.
I thought it was great.
Two penalties yesterday. Both games went to penalties.
That's right.
It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of people there. Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Of
course.
I want to say I'm wrong, and I've never told anybody this before, but I had a wrong thought on the She Believes Cup, and I'll tell you why real quick. I'll make this fast. Yeah, I was explaining to somebody what the She Believes Cup was the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, it's basically just glorified friendlies, like just, get it out there. And when I went to the game and the stadium packed up for the USA game, it was so cool. Like, especially there were so many young girls like there and like they were just screaming. I'm sure it was probably the same scenario for you guys in Atlanta. But, there were so many young kids there and they were just having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
And most of these, most people like us, you're not going to be able to go see, USA in like a World Cup or Olympics. I mean, technically you probably can now because it's coming to Atlanta, but
right.
You don't get those opportunities. And like these friendlies and this tournament, like it's family friendly priced. Like it wasn't bad tickets. Like they weren't crazy. I think the most expensive, like yesterday or the cheapest were like $80 to get in yesterday. Not terrible, but like, yeah, in 2024 standards, right? Like that's
right with inflation and all that.
Yeah, like, but it was cool to see all these kids just having a great time, and I never thought I would see a USA team when I was a kid. Actually be able to go to a game like that. So just seeing just everyone there so happy, and then getting to see them win the trophy. Like they just kept showing other kids on the screen. And there was so much Taylor Swift. There was so much Taylor Swift music. And by the way, Canada, props to Canada. They have the best goal song of any team I have ever seen in any sport ever. Michelle Branch, Everywhere. Michelle Branch everywhere. Like that
Not
song.
Canadian, by the way.
Oh, I was going to Google that, and I didn't. She's not she's not Canadian?
She's not. She's not.
I met her at the Q104 Boo Bash in 2002, and I asked her to marry me.
Did he really?
True story. True story. Halloween thing.
He obviously did not marry you.
But when they scored, I was like, all right, Michelle Branch. And then they scored again there to tie it late. But I was like, all right, we get this banger one more time at least. I'm done. That's She Believes Cup. I apologize, She Believes Cup. It was great. Michelle Branch and Katy Perry, baby. I'm on top of the world.
It's actually, so I know we're going to talk about She Believes Cup in a little bit more in depth, but you actually, and it's funny because we have had no prior conversation about this at all. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up on the show was that exact point. Like, my family didn't get to go. They had other stuff going on all day that day. But you know, having a little girl and seeing it wasn't just soccer, right? That was in our world, that was the big thing. But then you look at like the Final Four and things like that going on, women's basketball and everything else, and it is
in Ohio.
Yeah,
Cleveland.
I mean, it's a really, really great time for the game in general, but especially for the women's game, because I feel like the women's game is growing like exponentially. And then, having a little girl, and I will never wish, let me rephrase that. I will never wish that she is any older or bigger than she is right now, because she, you never want to wish them to grow up faster.
Yeah.
But I hope in a couple of years when she can more understand it, this kind of thing happens again. And thankfully in Atlanta, I think we'll see a lot more of it, but it was the same way, man. You're at the bins and there's families everywhere. There's, girls that you can tell that like they know these players well and they look up to them and they're all role models. And it's such a cool thing to be able to say, for an Atlanta perspective that we're able to be a part of. But also just like the growth of the game in general, for kids all the way up to adults. I mean, I just think it's really awesome. And this was a big part of that.
Just really quick, and we'll get into the rest of the show just a bit here, but I know when people overlook the Brazil-Japan game. I'm sorry, the Brazil-Canada game that came after U.S.-Mexico. All right, I don't know why I say U.S.-Mexico. U.S.-Japan on Saturday. The game after that was a good game. Canada, of course, winning in penalties. But the loudest cheer of the day, I think, was when Marta came in. I saw her in the back, headed to the mixed zone for the U.S. after their win over Japan. I saw Marta in the tunnel, getting ready with her teammates. And, she's one of the greatest of all time, probably top 5 women's players all time. And she is a legend in Brazil. And it just one of those athletes that transcends her sport, at least in Brazilian standards. And hearing her name being chanted throughout the bends and hearing the cheers from Brazilian fans, was just something. And someone tweeted me when I posted a video of Marta in the tunnel. Someone tweeted me, just based on, the great players that have been played at the bends, and call it the bends, the American Maracanã. And I don't know if it's quite to that level yet, but yeah, Marta is probably top 5 women's football players of all time, and certainly top 5 athletes in Brazilian sports history. So that was a cool moment later on in the day. But of course, U.S., Japan, really cool to see the U.S. women's national team back. Really cool to see the men coming back next month or in June. And then, of course, U.S. soccer breaking down ground for their training center headquarters on this past Monday. So, yeah, really cool for soccer, not just in Cleveland. I mean, not just in Columbus, but in Atlanta as well. Cleveland, too, to some extent. But just American as well. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was at the Women's Final Four. But, really cool weekend, really great weekend. Really glad that the 3 of us got to take part in that and check it out. And then on Saturday, Tyler, Henry, and I were huddled around a laptop at the Nest on 4 because they didn't have the game on. Unfortunately, they didn't have the game on the TVs, but we were huddled around a laptop watching Atlanta United draw NYCFC 1-1, and we saw Jamal Tiare, of course, scoring to salvage a draw for Atlanta United. So good for him. 3 goals in 2 matches. But he left the match, kind of wondering what was going on. Turned out he was injured, and come to find out, he's out 2 to 4 weeks. And not only that, Derek Williams is out 2 to 4 weeks. And some fans are freaking out saying, oh my gosh, this is like 2022 all over again. So figured we could start there. Just, I guess, what's the plan? Especially at striker, especially up top. Go ahead.
Quick question. How did
Yes.
how did Marta get back to her hotel?
You tell me.
Did she take the Marta? Did Marta take Marta? Okay, continue.
Doubt it, but
All right,
where
New
you're
York.
going with it.
Baseball
Anyway.
field, home
Yeah.
runs,
All the good stuff.
goals,
Brazilian
bangers,
Federation
injuries. Sorry.
Missed a golden opportunity.
My
if
Siri
you
just
think
went off because
anywhere near Marta, a Marta station at all. Like they missed a golden opportunity to make something happen.
I know.
Content
Next time.
was there.
Next time. But yeah, I mean, kind of going back to the Atlanta United match, the injuries. I'm sorry.
My bad. That was my bad. I got you off track. We're back.
No.
We're back. We marted
good
back
joke.
over here.
I like it. I like the joke. I like it. Well done. But no, Atlanta United, of course, Jamal Tiare injured 2 to 4 weeks. Left hamstring. Derek Williams, left calf, out 2 to 4 weeks. Tiare actually tweeted out, he needed an MRI, he got out with back pain, and we all saw that tweet, but it was actually deleted, and then we got the official news that he's out 2 to 4 weeks. So I think that's the
Back
big, well, for his left hamstring. But
It's all
I feel
attached.
yeah, it's true. It's true. That's a big thing, though, because Yakimakis didn't train on Tuesday. Yeah, Gregerson didn't train on Tuesday, kind of expected. But now you have, if Danny Rios can't go, what are you going to do at striker? I mean,
Not
you feel
Derek Etienne. Not Derek Etienne.
Hold on. Shande Silva has played striker. Do you go
Is
with
he
him?
okay?
Presumably. I mean, he trained,
Okay.
as far as I could tell. Do you
I
go with him?
think there are a variety of options, and it's not.
Yes.
We're not in 2022 yet. There's a bit like I get it. There's recency bias for sure. This is normal. Like these are normal injuries, right? Like these are short term. You can kind of deal with these. These are not, Achilles pop, knock on wood, Achilles popping left and right, and ACLs popping left and right, like it was in 2022. Both saying. So in other words, I should bet Philly this weekend is Barry available for a 1-match loan. Came in here just to troll Tommy.
Yeah.
No, we'll find out, I'm sure, here either probably Friday. What it's looking like for Gigi. And I mean, I really think Gigi and Rios, there's the potential, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see Rios back and they let Gigi have at least the game. They might put him on the bench and, break glass in case of emergency kind of situation. If he can give you 30 minutes, then great. But you don't want to push something that doesn't need to be pushed. If Rios isn't available, I mean, you just got to become pragmatic. You have to become pragmatic. You can't just throw somebody up top and expect them to have the same kind of outcome as Yakimakis or
Sure.
lately Jamal Tiare.
Yeah, and that's understandable. Like whoever, I mean, this is again if he can't play or start, so don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But are you saying maybe a tactical wrinkle that we may not have seen before? I don't know, like I was thinking false 9 or something like that. Do we see anything like that, or what are you thinking specifically? Gotta play devil's advocate.
Tommy, you look like you want to say something.
It's just whenever whenever there's a fire. Let's pull the false nine. Let's pull it. Let's pull the trigger.
I'm just speculating.
It doesn't work. Man, when Etienne came in, I was mid WrestleMania mode. I was quite a few drinks in. I'm ready to see The Rock. I was not ready to see Derek. I was not ready. And the next morning I looked and I tweeted Derek with like a bunch of exclamation marks and question marks like 6 times. So thank you for everybody that liked those. I appreciate it. I was in shock that he was the choice. I mean, I didn't look at the bench at the time of what it was, but Lord, like that's just, he had an opportunity too, didn't he?
I actually don't think he had a bad game. I mean, I made the comment to Sydney and Henry while we were watching it that, like, I mean, Derek is a smaller guy than you have in Giakoumakis or even Jamal Tiare. He is not built like the big bodied number 9 that this team kind of is built around at this point. So yeah, he's going to have to play the game a little bit differently. And it's also not his natural position. Now, there's plenty of variables and factors that are actually going against Derek Etienne in this situation, but I don't think he had a bad game. And yeah, Jack's bringing up, did you see one of his crosses? Yes. Again, I'm going to give, I did it on Spaces that night. I'm going to give my quick take. It's a freaking baseball field. It is. They're playing on a baseball field, guys. Like, you can't take much from it. And they're playing on a baseball field that New York was complaining about. Santi Rodriguez was like trying to get a yellow card given to the turf because the freaking ball didn't come off his foot right. Like, you can't take much from it in terms of like what, individual maybe mistakes in terms like of, oh, we had a wayward cross or a wayward shot or whatever. I mean, yeah, you can do it in plenty of other places. It's just tough in this one. Bo, yes, Lennon dropped dimes. Lennon also was playing on the side of the pitch that didn't have the turf infield.
Yeah, Pineda mentioned that, the right side he called the black hole, and he said, I don't want to make any excuses because both teams had to deal with it on the right side, but he especially called that out. But yeah, just if they have to, I feel like you would rate. I don't know if they do anything drastic from a tactical standpoint against Philly on Sunday, but I do think if they do need to start somebody at top, instead of Gigi, I think they do go with Silva over Etienne. I think with Etienne, I feel like his body of work will cause fans to have kind of a negative bias against him in any form or fashion because of, like I said, he really hasn't done anything with the club, unfortunately, considering how much they paid for him. So I feel like there's always going to be that qualifier and that bias that is attached to him. So I think, again, you see Silva if Giakoumakis can't play, and then maybe you do have, I don't know, do you go with Mosquera on the left? Do you go with Wolf on the left? I think you go with Wolf because Mosquera is one of those players, kind of like a quote super sub that you bring out later in the match to run teams ragged. And we mentioned it before, so maybe that's what you do. That's kind of,
and that's been successful.
I see. Yeah,
like there. I mean, he got an assist. In this one, I mean, he's had success whenever he does come on the pitch to do his thing against tired people. Like, it is a key that's working, and I don't know that you need to change it. I don't know that he is as effective if he starts matches, at least right now.
Yeah,
Kevin. Yeah,
I'll put that back up.
He said it was like watching tennis, defending in your box to immediately attacking in the opposition box. Actually, it was funny. I made a joke this morning on Soccer Down Here with John, that you have your midfielders and they're just, for the first 10 minutes of the game, watching the ball just get pinged over the top, back and forth, until finally they decide we're going to have to either go to our final third or their final third to get on the ball because the ball is just not being played through the middle. It's being played over the top. But what do you expect? Again, you're playing on a freaking postage stamp. So
yeah.
But Derek,
pragmatic.
So,
but Derek,
sorry.
Derek,
who else?
I could keep getting quieter as I say it. Derek, anybody. Anybody.
Who do you put up there?
Like who?
Come on, give us a name.
Nick Firmino. Nick Firmino. Anyone.
Now, if Firmino plays against, Firmino plays over Etienne, then something seriously. I mean, nothing against Firmino, but
Derek,
so
I'm just gonna keep saying it every time it happens until he does something. And, you know, I actually bet $1 that he was gonna score a goal. $1, I put it on there. I was like, let's do it. Let's. Anytime he comes on, I'm gonna bet $1 he scores a goal, and I will donate that to charity. I will donate it to charity.
There you go.
yeah. So I mean, that's the attack, but I mean, I feel like the defense is a little bit of an easier call. Of course, you'll have Abram probably starting, not probably starting, but definitely starting in place with Williams. So you have Cobb and Abram in the back, and I wonder if this is a situation where, and by the way, Bruno saying in the chat, can we buy out Derek so we can get Adam John?
What did I do to everybody today? Why is everybody just coming at me? What did I do?
I know why Bruno's asking you that. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But
Stupid Adam John.
But yeah, in the defense, I mean, Abram will come in for Williams surely. So you'll have Abram and Cobb in the back. I wonder with Abram, is this kind of a opportunity for him to show that he still has his place on this team, or if the team wants to kind of put him in the window and say, hey, here's a perfectly good center back, a perfectly good, not a best 11 center back or anything like that, but a perfectly good center back that you can have if you can float us some float us some GAM and take him off our hands, because we have a guy who we like, who has come through the system, has for the most part proven himself at the MLS level, not perfect, but still growing, and then say, you know what? Let's go all in on Noah Cobb. We don't really need Liz or Rob. He's surplus to our requirements at this point in time. Nothing that he did wrong, but it's just the direction that the club wants to go in. So, I mean, it's kind of a dual-edged sword right there. Abram having a shot to maybe prove his worth to the team, but at the same time, teams will be watching how he does to see, hey, we could get him. We could get him when the trade window opens. I guess, what do you guys think?
I mean, you want to have obviously somebody in that position, knowing good and well the injury history and everything else. There will be times this season where Pineda is going to have to go to like a back three, back five, whatever you want to call it. So you want to have that fourth center back that you can rely on. The issue, I think, and the point of contention for most people with Luis Abram is the salary compared to, what he's getting paid. And then the fact that at this point in time, he is your backup center back, and yet he's still going to get called out on international duty, which sucks. It would not, I don't even think this would be a conversation. Like, you can deal with the money, I think, at this point in time, if you didn't have to worry about him also leaving every international window. But it doesn't help you if he's not one of the starting center backs. And then when you do need him, and obviously you need him now because of injuries, fine. But when you really need him during an international break, he's not going to be there anyway. So, I mean, I like him. I like him a lot. I think it's great having a natural, talented, and veteran left-footed center back. But I think especially now, I don't know that they have to do this, but especially now with the new rules that have come out, I don't think you're going to have to use a buyout on him. One of the two that looks like you'll probably have in the summer.
You only have one.
Yeah.
You already used one.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
They did. It was confirmed.
Okay.
By Eric Lopez. We missed you.
but yeah, I mean, I think either way, you can find a place for Luis Abram. Luis Abram has a market, I think, but also, I also think you could get somebody that is going to give you everything you need out of that position and not be gone on international breaks. And
Yeah.
that's still going to step up and do the thing when it comes time to do the thing.
Do you think he's here at the end of?
100,000.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys think he's here at the end of the year?
I think in the end of the year, I kind of do, but I don't know that he makes it till next year.
Yeah, I can see that.
With these salary changes, and we'll get to this, in a little bit of what they're proposing. I didn't think he would be, because I think that he could be a player that you could move on or even get out of MLS and transfer him out. I'm sure there's teams elsewhere that'd be interested in him as well, not just in MLS, especially teams outside of MLS, because they don't have to deal with the salary cap. But now with these new rules, maybe you can move things around a little bit to make things work a little bit better. But now it's going to be an interesting situation here with some of these rule changes and what you do, because again, we've been talking about this. Garth says we're broke at the moment. We went out and spent as much as we could to make this team better. Great. But you need to make room. You're going to have injuries, right? And, everyone's saying this is like a couple of years ago. Most of these injuries are 2 to 4 weeks. Like, a lot of the injuries we've been dealing with for a long time have been long-term injuries. Out for the year, out for months. Yeah, Gregerson's been out for a little bit, and it's, 4 to 6 weeks, so he's probably fully back up and going. That's fine. Not the end of the world. But, these other guys, 2 to 4 weeks. Like, you could get through this stuff, right? And we've always dealt with this before. It sucks when it's you started the season with 2 starting center backs, and now they're both gone, right?
Yeah.
Now you're completely at team B at this moment, and that's just the hardest part of having to deal with this. And then you're on option C for striker. Like, I think it's just the 2 positions all of a sudden combining for this mess is what's been the problem.
Just real quick too on Abram, and Bruno brings up a good point. The defense on how he does in Copa America. He'll be with Peru, and I guess the bad news for Peru is they're in a group with Argentina and Canada and Chile. So they'd be fortunate. They'd be fortunate to come in second in that group. Argentina's always going to win that. Is always going to be fair to win that group. But yeah, he'll have some time with Copa America or Peru in Copa America to show what he can do, to showcase his skills, and I think that'll kind of drive up his price if Atlanta United were to shop him in the summer. But yeah, it's not like you were saying just now, Tommy. It's not like these are long-term injuries. These are injuries that you can deal with. These are just little bumps in the road, and the hope is that this is at the lower end of the scale. More 2 weeks rather than 4 weeks. I mean, even if it is, it is minor, and you want them at their best. You don't want to rush them back, but at the same time, you still want them to, be there for your team. In the case of TRA, right, you have another backup in Rios, who I assume trained on Tuesday, but that's where you are right now. So before we move on, we'll get to Gonzo, who said in the chat, that's how Almada's poor start. Yeah, I mean, Almada, we've talked about him a lot. And yes, I'll defer to you guys because I know what people think about how I feel about Almada. I don't hate Almada.
Almada's doing the dirty work. I'm not. I mean, do I feel like he's playing up to his level that he was last year? Not necessarily. But I also don't think that it's like the death knell for Thiago Almada in this season. I don't think we're at that point. I think it's just a matter of, I mean, you go all the way back to last summer, and you had guys that came in that fit the system and fit being around him a little bit more. And what happened? Maybe his numbers dropped off a little bit, but the team started winning significantly, right? And you've had a pretty good start to this season so far, and it's just maybe his numbers aren't going to show all the stuff that he's doing. And that's not to say he didn't have a bad couple of matches, especially early on. But these past 2, man, I feel like he's been doing the dirty work, and he's been getting in good places, and have his shots come off the way that maybe he wanted them to. I don't know. Probably not, but I don't think it's time to start just sticking a fork in Thiago Almada. I think that's the last thing you want to do.
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm glad Zilf came in here because that's one of the tweets I saw, and he's a huge Amada supporter, right? He's the he was the guy tweeting nonstop announce Amada. He said, it's time to have a conversation about him, and I think he was like our third highest ranked player in FOTMob over the weekend. Like he was up there.
Yeah,
I thought he looked okay, especially towards the end. I thought that he looked better than what he had looked at, than he looked in previous games. I don't know. My buddy said, sometimes I think that, he feels that when the other big guys aren't around, he gets to step up and be that role.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's over for him. And I don't think that, I saw the accusations of people thinking he wants out and that's, why he's playing this bad. And I just find that silly because that's not how you move out, right?
It just sucks. So you can get moved out to Europe.
Yeah.
right.
I
Little
mean,
counterintuitive.
is that what Adam John was doing for all that time?
No, you're good. You're good. I said this on Saturday, and I said it numerous times. Almada doesn't need to take as much as he does on him because you have a golden boot striker. You have two very good wingers, one with a nose for goal, one with who brings you a more two-way kind of mindset on the field. So, I mean, he doesn't need to take things on himself more than he has to. And I think, again, I've said this numerous times, that's when we see Almada kind of not perform. I think, again, he just needs to let the game come to him. And Tyler, I agree. He's doing the dirty work, the work that's not showing up on the score sheet. And, he's not going to maybe not get as many assists as he probably did a couple of years ago because you have Saba, you have Silva, you have Lennon on that right side who can hit the ball in to Giakoumakis and set up those goals. So maybe those assists go down a little bit. Maybe he's not scoring as many goals as he did the past years, but at the same time, you don't want him to take too much on himself. Yeah, he's a good enough player where he can still perform at a high level. So anyway, what?
No, just the comment. I don't get it. I'm missing something is going over my head in the chat.
The Colonel has
I'm broken today. It's so random. It made me laugh.
Colonel doesn't like one of the MLS season pass announcers, so we'll leave it at that. We don't share that opinion, by the way.
Just coming in hot, man.
We don't share that opinion. Yes, go for it.
I had something, but about the game, and now I'm broken, and I can't even think about it at this point. But now I know. Someone said, like, do you consider this a loss?
No.
In this game, and you look at the game, we should have scored a lot more goals, right? Like the chances were there, right? They had plenty of opportunities. They just couldn't get the shots, right? And they just couldn't get the ball in. And then you go down, right? And then you're able to get that extra point. You almost had a couple opportunities at scoring. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's very disappointing that you didn't get the win here because I think a lot of us were predicting a win here. You were without your guys. You were able to get that tying goal. It sucks, but you didn't get a lot of points on the road last season at all, right? You did get some draws, but a lot of those draws came from you being up and then blowing the lead, which was most of how those draws ended up happening. It wasn't us tying on the road. It was us blowing the lead on the road. So it's nice that you get to see the opposite effect of this and seeing, them being able to come back because when they were down there, I mean, I was thinking this is going to be a 2-0 loss. We're going to allow one more there and it's over and it's a repeat of the Toronto game. Yeah, we haven't had a road game with the full assortment of players. I guess that first game, it was just it was awkward because Almada came back, really didn't practice with the team. That's at least that's the excuse I make in my head for that day. But the other two games have been, unfortunate circumstances, and now you are at home with these unfortunate circumstances. Can you get the win here and see what happens? But Almada does have to be good. He's got to be one of the big guys. And the next two games aren't easy. Is it Philly and Cincy, right?
Yeah, no less,
Yeah.
but yes, Shield winner from last year, and then a team that's unbeaten in the top 14 last year. But going back to NYC, you don't eat an elephant all in one bite. You eat it, a bite at a time. And the elephant for Atlanta United is result away from home, and it's a draw. Of course, you won 3 points, but it's a draw without Yorgos Yakimakis. It's a draw without Shande Silva. So you take what you can get at this point. At the same time, those draws have to eventually be wins. They have to be 3 points sooner rather than later. You go to Chicago, a place where you've had very little success, a place where you should win. So those draws have to be wins at some point. I'll throw that out.
And I'll throw. I don't want to throw a wrench into this conversation, but that wasn't a penalty. It was not a penalty. And I'll say that it was soft.
It wasn't a red.
I shouldn't say that it wasn't a penalty, because anything you do, if you breathe on somebody the wrong way in the box and the ref is just feeling it that day, it's a penalty. I get
depends
irritated.
what you ate.
That too.
Depends what you ate before.
That's too. Like if you ate that pizza that Messi had before he didn't come up here last year, I mean, yeah, you just got to be within like a 5 foot radius. It's not going to be good. I get irritated because it's a soft penalty. And if you're going to call that, you should be calling that a foul all across the pitch. But if you call that a penalty, then there should be at minimum one penalty in every single soccer match played in the world, because the amount of contact that was in that box was minimal. And I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's so inconsistent. I get so tired of that. You haven't used that word talking about refereeing, but you know what's funny? I didn't have these rants.
It feels good, doesn't it? It feels good, right? The power.
It's funny how that works.
Embrace
but all
it.
of a sudden,
Take a
Pro
deep breath.
comes back, and it's like, oh, now we're back to this same song and dance, and we're throwing up, yellow cards for no reason. We're giving penalties when nothing happened. We're, you touch somebody on the sleeve in a contact sport, and they simulate every little bit of falling on the ground, and yet you get punished because you're trying to play the game. It freaking irritates me, man. And I've been holding this one in about this stupid New York City playing on a baseball field, like throwing down fake grass, but yet we're all going to whine and complain about turf, and we're allowing football to be played on a baseball stadium, and not just a baseball stadium, a substitute baseball stadium. They couldn't even play on the baseball stadium where they're supposed to play. They played at the substitute's house, and you get it so bad that your own team is complaining about the grass that's put down. Anyway, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. I'm sorry, because I could go off on a bunch of different directions with this tangent. It's so irritating. Wasn't a penalty.
Back in my day, we played at Yankee Stadium, not City Field, and we walked 5 miles up the hill to get to Yankee Stadium.
Both directions in the snow.
That's your first. You haven't ranted like that in a while, by the way.
I know. I need to stop. I could keep going, but I'm going to stop. Some of my coffee.
So we're going to talk about these rule changes, but before that, scarfsandspikes.com, read our written content before, during, and after every match throughout the week. Patreon.com/scarfsandspikes. Shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for your support each and every week. We really do appreciate it. It helps us do what we did at the Nest on 4 on Saturday. Helps us, pay for our streaming, pay for our website, etc. Things like that. So we really appreciate it. Scarves Alert and Spikes on X, Instagram and Threads, Scarves and Spikes, Facebook.com/Scarves and Spikes. Those are the places you can find us when we're not broadcasting.
/ Derek. Derek?
/ Derek. That's the $25 option.
Yeah.
/ Derek. So yeah, switching gears, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but so these roster rule changes, and MLS Board of Governors meeting on Tuesday to discuss potential rule changes. And according to Paul Tenorio, those have passed. Paul Tenorio from The Athletic reporting 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or 2 DPs, 4 U22s, and $2 million GAM per year. Club gets to choose 2 buyouts per year per team. And then this is a good one, up to $3 million in GAM from transfer revenue per team per year. So those are the 3 rules that are changes that are reportedly on the table, reportedly have been passed by the Board of Governors. Again, according to Paul Tenorio from The Athletic. And it just has to go through the Players Association and the MLSPA before that. This is not the end, obviously. This is not the end-all, be-all, but fans have been asking for something like this for years. Front offices have been asking for something like this for years, and this is just a building block, I think, of what's to come. You get a little more flexibility with your DPs and your U22s. You don't have to jump through hoops or solve a Rubik's Cube to get rid of a U22 or U22s. We saw that with Sosa and Ibarra last year for Atlanta United in the past years. Kind of had to make some tough choices, and now you have the opportunity or open up some more things for your club. And again, it's not the end. It's not the rule change or the series of rule changes that will just change everything, but it's a start. It's a big step. So Zilf saying in the chat, 2 DPs, 4 U22s, and $2 million with GAM is the best one. And Tommy's kind of shaking his head, but I guess.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because just listen to our new fearless leader, Garth Lagerwey. He basically called the U22s what they are, lottery tickets. That's what they are. And he prefers to be able to have a more established player in there. So I think for sure he's going to be going after 3 full DPs.
Zilf. What?
Well,
Garth don't know Baldo.
Jack's got a good question.
Go ahead.
Does this help us at all this summer? Have they said, are we getting that extra buyout this year?
So again, this has to be approved by the MLSPA, and
but if it does,
I think it does. I think Atlanta would have that second buyout, and Lopez is essentially that the first buyout of the year for Atlanta United. I think that's what will Atlanta will have to cope with that. So yes, it does help them this summer. So I guess you have a lot of flexibility.
Who would you? I wonder who they would if they had a chance to cut anybody. Who the other person would be?
I know who you think it should be.
Does it rhyme with?
Well, let me say something about
Eric
that.
Or Jarek or Herrick?
Eric Lopez.
I could keep going. Zarek. I'm at Z. I'm done.
Wow, you skipped a whole lot of letters.
Yeah.
So Dan bringing up a good point. The $2 million in GAM buys you 2 TAM players, which is a very, very valid point, because if you hit on like another Derek Williams, or I don't know, insert whoever else here, Stian Gregerson when he gets bought down or whatever, that's a very valuable spot for sure. But to me, it's the 2 buyouts, because you then open up so many other avenues for a team that likes to spend like Atlanta. You don't have to take as much of a risk going out and bringing in the next big name, even if it's an established big name. Look at Shaqiri up in Chicago. Like the guy, by accounts should have worked out quite well for Chicago,
Yeah.
and just really hasn't. And if Atlanta were in that situation, I think if I were a fan, I would be wanting them to use the buyout on Shaqiri because it opens up a ton of money. Then you go and you just hope that you hit better on the next guy or guys. But having 2 buyouts means you can be a little bit more of a risk taker and go out and fine. You sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal. If you get there in a year in and he's just not the guy, cool. Let's move on. Cut back. And I think it makes it easier too from a player perspective because all right, if I sign a 4-year deal with this club and something goes really bad in the middle of it, like I have a little bit of leeway because I'm not held down by like, what if somebody sucks worse than I do? Like I can move on and continue my career and not be stuck somewhere riding the bench for the next, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but you got to be careful though with buyouts because you don't want to give the impression that you're mismanaging your roster because you're just using it twice. If you're using both every year, you're gonna get an impression of okay, they don't know what they're doing. Why do we need to go there? So I guess that's where I'm kind of thinking about that. Bungle Fuggle saying in the chat, yeah, Shakira needs to head back to the mines of Moria. I have no idea what that means. We'll
I love the
have to
fact
look
that it
it
came
up.
out of Shakira, and now there's a Lord of the Rings reference here in the chat with Shakira instead of Shaqiri.
Did Shakira write California Girls?
No, she did not.
Wow.
Waking Up
Katy
in
Perry.
Vegas?
Katy Perry.
Kissed a Girl and I Like It?
Katy Perry.
Shit, okay.
You know a lot of Katy Perry songs.
Yeah, he did.
I do.
No,
Yeah,
but
Dukes and bikinis on top.
yeah. No, but
I'll give you that answer really quick, Sydney. I'm sorry.
God.
It's because Shaqiri is all of 5'4".
5'5" on a good day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Hobbit reference?
Well, it's a dwarf reference from Lord of the Rings. Because
Hobbit dwarf, whatever.
they're in the
Little
he,
ugly
is,
feet.
he is short. He is very short. We talked about that when Chicago was here.
yeah.
5'5". But no, the buyout thing. You don't want to just use it recklessly. But I kind of disagree with you, Tommy, about the U22s. Yeah, I know.
Agreement.
Shame
You're
on me.
disagreeing with Garth Lagerway, not Tommy.
No.
I was just giving.
Well, no.
I was telling you what
Well,
Garth was going to do.
I kind of disagree with the mindset that U20. I mean, I see where he's coming from, and that there is a risk with those younger players, but that's not to say there aren't good younger players that are very low risk and high reward. I think if Garth is able to find players that are low risk and high reward that fit into that U22 criteria, he won't hesitate to go get them. I think it works out better because back when he was running back when he was running Seattle, he didn't have all this. He didn't have these kind of mechanisms that could be available to him with Atlanta United. He certainly didn't have the bank account and the money that Atlanta United have. And look what he built up there. That's not to say Atlanta are just going to spend recklessly under his guidance because he's hinted at the team are just going to be more physically responsive. But at the same time, he has a lot more resources than he did up in Seattle. And I think he knows how to use those resources wisely. He's not just going to call for money to be spent willy-nilly, right? He's going to continue to fit players that fit that profile. And I think these roster rules opening things up just a little bit more are going to prove very useful for Atlanta as they continue to build this team and shape them into the vision that he has for them. So I think it helps.
Yeah, it also, because I see in the chat, kind of people are playing Football Manager, the modded MLS version with the MLS rules.
Exactly.
But Zill saying, do y'all think we fill the 3 U22 DP slots when Sosa and Ibarra leave? And things like that. Like that's kind of the question from an Atlanta perspective. And I think it just really depends on the one thing, kind of like what Sydney was just talking about. The U22 spots, they're much less risky if you have an analytics department and a scouting department that knows what they're doing. And you didn't have that.
You just don't have Heinze picking them all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hold water like a camel, sir. So you're coming with me.
Right.
No, I think you now have the group that can give you at least your best chances to get a good return on U22s. I think it just depends on what is available and who is available at the time. But now, that being said, you go back to what we know about Garth Lagerwey, and that is he wants to sign guys that are in their prime and have been successful in more than one place. So I get that. And history shows that having your full roster of DPs that are actually contributing is going to be the best way that you're going to win a trophy, period. So
yeah.
I think if you can go out and find one that's in their prime and pull something close to the success of like a Giakoumakis, then I'm doing that. And yes, I'm moving on from Ibarra and Sosa, obviously, and then go scout out those two positions and fill them in.
The buyouts are an interesting thing, like you said, for Atlanta United, because there's other teams that are just super cheap out there. They can't afford to just go, they say they go, sign a $3 million guy and it's not working out. They're not going to, just say, all right, we're just writing it off. And, then they might not replace him with a high dollar player because they can't afford it or they don't want to spend it. And I've said this since we started this podcast. You have Arthur Blank there, and he's got a lot of money, and he's wasted a ton more money on some real bad Falcons players over the year that you signed a long-term contracts that you got to get rid of. And that's just an advantage of having somebody that's ambitious go out there and say, you know what? We screwed up. We get it. We got a bad bag. How do we learn from it? Now go find the replacement. Let's win something. Because that's all it really is about Arthur Blank, is he wants to win, right? He wants to create a good product. That's I think that's number one, right? Have a good product, week in, week out, and then obviously to win trophies. And you don't have Omar. Don't talk about Kirk Cousins. He hasn't even had one even snap yet. You're in timeout, Omar. I'm sorry. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, you've got not everybody's going to be able to take advantage of that. And maybe they do. Maybe they do just cut the guy and then they don't replace him. For us, we're going to be able to do things like that. So I'm excited about it, not just for this season, but just in general, because how many times have we been stuck with a couple guys that go, man, really would be nice if we had one or two more buyouts. And now that's here. And we could have been, if this happened last year, we could have had a much better roster going into this season to be able to do this. Because again, you had to use it on Eric Lopez. But yeah, I mean, the U22s, like you said, I mean, that's a huge opportunity because yeah, you had Heinze like personally picking that team, right? Like he had his Pokemon card deck and he was just picking his players there. I mean, he kind of did what Tata Martino did, but Tata Martino had better, higher CP cards. Sorry, just Pokemon.
We had all the evolutions.
Right.
Yeah, but like he obviously did a much better job, and Heinze picked his guys, and unfortunately the U22 spot was just created and just said, go at it, pal, just go bring in whoever you want, and none of them worked out. And Mascara, still some questionable things about him. Like Zilf said, never scored a goal ever. So there was some questions there. Now he has. Now he's scored some goals.
Thanks, VAR.
Yeah.
Right.
It's supposed to be a sushi dinner for me, but whatever.
But you've expanded so much out there with your analytics, and like you said, that at least going into this, you're going to have more data to be able to pick some of these guys. So whether they move, one of these guys, I mean, I don't think it really hurts holding onto them. I mean, because they're, that spot's taken. I mean, the Derek or Abram money that's sitting there is much more valuable than a U22 spot at this moment, unless you have a specific player in mind that you're looking at that fits that position. But if you're getting this and it's active, the summer transfer window, I think you have to use it. I think it's irresponsible to not use it at that moment, because I think you've got a couple players you can do it, and you can go out there and improve your team, right?
Yeah,
and whether it's bringing another winger,
like Bo said in the chat, which I get where you're going, Bo, and it would be kind of cool if like 3 years from now you could just dump 6 people if you had to.
Right.
But
exactly.
Unfortunately,
you can't have money in the bank buyouts just ready, just sitting there.
I'll throw out this quote real quick before we move on. So ESPN's this is Jeff Carlisle who mentioned that he interviewed one of the big wigs, chief soccer officers in MLS. It wasn't LA United because it was more toward teams who have a lot of money, like Atlanta, can get away with making mistakes. And the quote was from this chief soccer officer, anonymous. Said, "Quote: For me, this is kind of lazy and rewards teams the wrong way." So, kind of, Tommy, you're rolling your eyes. Well, it kind of goes to my point. You don't want to just use it willy nilly, but that puts the onus on you as a team to make the right decisions inside the right
Well,
players.
use it however I want to freaking use
unless,
it. Willy-nilly.
Whoever this was saying, they wanted it to be more geared toward injured players, which I agree with, but at the same time,
did Curtin write that? Did Jim Curtin and his and the owner like just draft that up and say, you know what, you need to give your driver's license when you're buying someone out? Get out of here! I am so sick of these cheap
that's
ass owners. They're cheap. That's all. That's why we can't have nice things anymore. Is because you got like 7 or 8 owners that are just cheap and don't want to spend money on anything. So every time MLS is like, hey, let's upgrade our roster rules, they're in the corner going, we don't have any money. We don't have any money. And then that's what just keeps delaying this.
Just don't want
the league
spend the money.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe some might actually don't. But like that's the thing.
But like one
you've
team
got
that's
Messi.
operating out of like a 7-Eleven, and that's fine. But the rest of them can spend money.
I mean, I don't know if Vancouver's got any money. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many fans they have. I don't know. Like, do they bring people in? They got a cool stadium. I just like picking on Vancouver because I forget they exist. Like every time that we play them, when that comes up. But anyways, like you got Messi, you got the Apple contract. It was time. It was time to start changing things. Yeah, you know what? You don't have to go make the league completely wide open and make it, no salary cap league because everybody, people talk crap about the Premier League or MLB. Yeah. That's fine, but grow it, grow it up. And it was it wasn't even a baby step. It was like, did you see that thing where like Deadpool in the movie where he grows the little legs and he takes those little baby steps? It wasn't even one of those steps. That's how small and irrelevant the changes were this offseason. And now we're changing it in the middle of the year. Ridiculous.
Which is still baby steps, by the way.
Yeah.
Like these are. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not where it needs to be yet. I mean,
yeah,
GAM, like we haven't talked about that one yet. Cool. You go out, you get up to 3 million in GAM. So cool. Like you can then go and get a couple of TAM players, but it's still monopoly money. It's still monopoly money. You have teams out here that want to go spend real money and do a lot of things with real money and actually make things happen with real money. And yet they can't because they can only use a very small percentage of that because of GAM. Like it's frustrating. It is a step in the right direction. And I'm hoping this is the crack that breaks the dam. And maybe at the end of the year, we see something different. I don't know, but it's cool. I mean, you got something, but yes, go back really quick. It irritates me. I'm in the same boat, the same soapbox, whatever, as you, Tommy. Like, I get so irritated when you have owners that are like, but we don't want to spend the money. Like, then you're stupid and get rid of your club.
That's why your stadiums are empty half the time. That's why when you look and you're only 40-50% filled or whatever it is.
If that.
It's because you're giving your fans a crappy product. That's what you have. That's what it is. It's just you're not giving the fans a good product. Ugh, so frustrating.
I feel like we need to have a guessing game as to who this chief soccer officer was.
It's Philadelphia. Screw them. No, you know what? We're playing this week. It's them. It's 100% them. I know. And you know what? I want to be on a ride along with, like Boca, and I want him to get on the phone with like a league, and I want him to explain why like we can't do this move because we don't have enough Garber bucks to be able to make this move, and we can only sign this player if the third sun is coming up, and it's a harvest moon next year. But we, and like Zilf said, we can't transfer fees. The transfer fees are a little bit too high. Can we lower them a little? It's the only way we could get a player in. Like, do these people even believe this? Like, it's a pyramid scam. That's what it is. Boca,
Think about how
head
much
me on.
money
I just want to
Atlanta
hear it. I want to be on a ride along with Boca as he starts negotiating these things. Like, you know how they do like those videos of like, you know, trade deadline day.
Yeah.
I want to be with Boca and I want to hear him get
Warren.
someone outside the United States and explain MLS rules. It would be a great soap opera. And by the way, someone put on there like I'm lit. I've had 2 drinks. I am fine. I've had a day, and then we're talking about injuries and stupid owners talking trash to ESPN, and you know it's Philadelphia, and stupid Jim Curtin. Continue.
Do we want to talk about
driver's license derby.
the driver license derby?
Oh, we got to talk about Philadelphia again.
You got to talk about Philadelphia.
And no,
You gotta-
Freddie asked in the chat, is Starbucks a sponsor? No, but if you got a contact, tell them to hit me up. We'll make them a sponsor. My son brought this into me live on the show. He just tried to stay off
okay.
camera.
Is there really coffee in there, or is there something else?
No,
It's a
there's
problem.
coffee. I've got a beer right next to me though.
Okay.
On the day.
So Philadelphia, 3 wins, 3 draws in MLS play, had Champions Cup, and it's out of Champions Cup, of course, and got off to a little bit of not a terrible start, but a bit of a rough start. Like I said, they had a tough series with Saprissa in Champions Cup, and then they just got the living daylights beat out of them by Pachuca. They drew at home, they drew at Subaru Park, and then lost 6-0 at Pachuca.
Serious.
But so they've been able to focus solely on MLS, and they are unbeaten in their last 4. Well, actually unbeaten in MLS play, I should say, but they're on a 3-game winning streak against Portland, against Minnesota, against Nashville. So not like a murderous row of teams or anything like that. But I think the thing about Philadelphia is 2 of those wins have been away. They beat Portland at Providence Park 3-1, came back home, beat Minnesota 2-0, and then they went to Geodis and beat Nashville 2-1. Nashville, granted, are in shambles right now. It happened for a while. They can't get anything going. So again, it's not like they've played
They can score.
right. It's not like they've played tough teams, but at the same time, they've beaten teams that they should, and they've done it on the road as well. So this is another opportunity for them to send a message. And Atlanta, I would argue, is just looking at their schedule, I would argue that Atlanta is the toughest game they've had thus far in 2024, because look at their schedule in MLS, I should say. New England, they drew 0-0 on the road. Philadelphia, Chicago, they drew 2-2. They came back to draw that one, but they drew at home against Chicago. Drew on the road against Sporting Kansas City. Drew on the road at Austin, and then they're currently on a 3-game winning streak. So I think, yes, they haven't played tough teams, but at the same time, they've kind of had Champions Cup to deal with. So that's been a distraction for them. And now that's out of the way. They can focus solely on MLS. So I feel like that's helped them, and that's kind of got them going in the right direction. So not a match that, not an extremely difficult match, but still a match that could be a little bit tough, because Philly's going to want to keep this going on as long as they want, obviously.
What you got, Tommy?
Thoughts?
I mean, they are distracted. They're writing to ESPN about us. They are
Allegedly.
distracted. Hey, what was it last year? Was last year the game where we had a bunch of players out, and then I think Brooks Lennon ended up scoring a goal, and they said that it was like the most prepared they were for a game. Was that
Yep.
last year? Okay.
Yep.
And,
That was when they won 2-0.
yeah. I mean, that was a big game, and that was the entire team stepping up, playing team defense from there, and obviously it's been a huge focus. And last year, defense was not a focus for this team at all, and they were able to get a clean sheet there and end up scoring a couple nice goals. I think that, if Silva's playing, this has got to be the game where Silva steps up offensively, right? I think he's done some nice things defensively, but that left side has just got to get better. Caleb and Silva, we've talked about this for the past couple of weeks. They just need to get more in sync. Like, Lennon and Saba are on the same page most of the time, that's the side that's really going to need to step up. I mean, Almada, obviously, everyone keeps saying he needs to improve. I don't disagree. But I really think that left side has got to become dangerous here offensively. And, if Rios can get involved, great. But I'd like to start seeing that wing play that we saw so well on both sides. After the transfer window last year, both sides attacked. It wasn't just one. They didn't know which side to focus on because both sides were dangerous. That's what you're going to need to do here is get both sides going because, I don't know. We really haven't seen too much of Rios here. What is he going to do? What's he going to be able to do here, to get this team going? And if not, then we got to get someone else in. And maybe we keep saying it, but maybe this is the Almada game.
Yeah, I'll take it if it is. This series is 5-5-5. Interestingly, so if you're one of those people that looks at the historic side of things, good luck. I think Philly. I think you do them a little bit too much justice by saying, "Oh, they're the unbeaten team that's left," because unbeaten and winning are two totally different things. Yeah. And
we're on the last 3 though.
You're right, and that's not. It's not a takeaway. We know Philly's going to be a pretty good team year in and year out, but I don't know. They're not the Philly of a few years back, and you have to win all of your home games. Have to. If you're going to go up to New York and not be able to pull out the 3 points up there, then it becomes even more important that you come back and handle business at home. And yeah, I hope we get the driver's license tifo this year. I really want to see that. But no, I mean, they've got a lot of injuries as well. They're dealing with a string of injuries. So maybe not all of them being starters, some of them, but you rock them in the bins last year. And then you went up to Philly and you got punched in the mouth in the first half. You lost the game in the first half. And then you came back and you actually played them off the pitch at their house in the second half. You just couldn't get the goal to tie it up. But you blew the game in the first half.
Pineda lost it post game.
Huh?
Pineda lost it post game.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't blame him. But, it's not that this team is a juggernaut. They're not. I mean, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong. Yes, they're number 2 in the East right now. I get it. But you got to handle business at home, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. It doesn't matter if you're playing Columbus, reigning MLS champs, Cincinnati, reigning Supporters Shield champs. You, Atlanta United, can go to the bins and play any team in North America and beat them. And I know those are maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. But they can, and they have the talent to do it. So I don't think that just because you have a little bit of injury situation going on this weekend, I don't think that changes anything.
So what are we thinking as far as team selection on Sunday? Obviously, this is fluid because presumably Danny Rios trained on Tuesday. Giakoumakis didn't train. Gregerson didn't train. That doesn't mean they won't train on Thursday. That doesn't mean they won't train on Friday. So their status is still kind of up in the air at the same time. But and we touched on this earlier in the show, if Giakoumakis isn't available, who do you play? I mean, it's got to be Rios, obviously, up top. I mean, but if Rios, for some reason, can't go, who do you put up top?
I mean, I think everything's predictable if Rios plays. I think you play your 2 center backs that you have, and you play Silva and you play Saba, and then you play Rios. Has Saba played up front before?
I was looking on Transfer Market, and I couldn't really find anything.
A little bit.
I feel like he has.
He was a very central winger, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of a weird term. He played even now, he goes wherever he wants to anyway. But in Turkey, he was very central, almost as like another number 10 or a 9. He can get up there and score some goals.
No, it can't be Derek. It can't.
Not Etienne. I think
Hey,
we kind of agree.
you know who
It's not
played?
Mateo.
Put Saba up top and bring Brooks up. Brooks ended up playing a forward, and he played on the right wing and against Philadelphia last year and scored a goal. Pretty sure
Yeah.
because we
You
didn't have
get him.
Aruju. And then bring Ron Hernandez in. You know what? I'm just going crazy.
You're going crazy. Just throw out names at this point, aren't you?
No,
I'm not mad at
hey,
it.
you know what? You just find something that sticks. And
I'm messing
hey,
with you.
hey,
Messing with
Leonard
you.
wasn't bad when he took over for Aruju there for a little bit. He wasn't bad up there.
No, not
Just
at
an
all.
idea. I mean,
Yeah,
but again, when you have, I mean, you also got Mascara there too. You didn't have a lot of the depth that you had then. But does Mascara ever get a chance to like just start, or are we just like permanently putting him on super sub
I
alley?
mean, I don't.
Not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. I don't think you change it right now. I just think he's a freaking terrorist when he comes in the 60th minute and runs at people that are tired. Like, it is such an effective thing, and it's such an underrated part of the game, I guess, because we always refer to that person as a super sub, Tito Villalba.
You called Jurgen Damm a super sub.
When did I do that?
Yeah. Huh?
When did I do that?
You did.
What?
Because it was the same thing. He was fast. He's fast. Bring him in when everybody's late. He'll be our super sub. I
Well,
remember it.
Mascara
I wrote
had
it down.
Mascara
I
has
wrote that-
production.
It's
Mascara's
on my
produced.
list of things I hate Tyler have said. That
have
was
a
the first
receipt?
one on the list. I started the list when you said Jurgen Damm could be a super sub.
You have a date on it?
Gotta roll back the tape.
No, but I'll find it.
Okay. No,
It can't hurt.
I mean, no, but I just think, your winger situation, it's okay to stick with what you're doing. You know, I mean, at least there's some consistency there. I mean, up top, I don't know, throw whoever you want to up top. Just make it like a 4-6 and just don't have anybody up top.
Dax McCarty and Daniel Rios as dual strikers up top.
Sounds like the worst day of my life.
Chaos.
No. When it doesn't work, it's going to be chaos on Spaces.
Right. Exactly.
What was Pineda drinking before the game?
How are you guys feeling about predictions? This is home match. This is a home match, and Tyler, you talked about you got to win all your for home matches or as many as possible. I mean, you can't consider yourself an MLS Cup team or a Shield contender if you can't win your matches. Atlanta United did a decent job of that. Last year, they won 10 times at home. Cincinnati won 13 times. They ended up winning the Shield. Even without the best away record, they're 7-3-7 away. But if you want to go back to Atlanta United's championship season 2018, they won 11 times at home, 10 on the road. But point being, you have to win them at home. And like I said, I think arguably this is the toughest MLS opponent LA or Philadelphia has faced, and I think they'll face challenges that they haven't faced against Portland, against Chicago, against other teams that they've played at the league level. So I could see this being maybe a 2-1 Atlanta United win, even without the players that we've already talked about. So I'm going to say 2-0 Atlanta United. I think they win and Philadelphia their first loss of the season.
Okay, Dan.
You and Tyler have been hanging out without me, huh?
Well, what's your prediction?
I'll go last.
Okay.
Okay, Tyler, what's your
2-1.
prediction?
2-1 Atlanta.
2-1 Atlanta.
Yep. As much as I would like for them to have another clean sheet, I just don't know that it's going to happen. So don't ask me who's going to score the goals. I think it'll be Almada. And I say don't ask me. I'm just going to tell you anyway. Almada and Silva. I think this is the game that kickstarts both of them in the actual stats territory.
Do you think that Atlanta scores first, Philly scores, and then Atlanta scores again? Do you think it's going to be one of those matches, or do you feel like Atlanta scores twice. Philly gives them something to think about later on, but they see him out. What do you think?
Going with the theme that soccer in my world has been given to me in the past calendar week, I'm going to say Philly scores first and Atlanta comes back and wins it.
It's fair.
Give me a heart attack in the process.
Tommy.
Oh, 1-1.
You waited to say that?
Yeah. I was going to say 2. I was going to say 2 on Philly, actually.
Why'd you change your mind?
I don't know. I think this is a big game for Pineda. I think that he has been able to get some points out of, or be able to get some good performances out of some of these guys. You're not as beat up as you were in Toronto. I mean, that team, it was not beat up, but it was, you had someone injured, but you had everybody out on international. You've still got a lot of your guys. I think that they're able to pull it together. Now, the Abram Cobb situation scares me a little bit here. We'll see how that goes, but I think it ends up being a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Jack saying 1-0 to Atlanta. Omar 2-1. Either way.
That's a cop out.
No,
Yeah.
to Atlanta. Zilf 3-1 Philadelphia. Rosho vlog saying 5-0 ATL. Philly hype train is overrated.
I wish. Good Lord, I wish.
Overrated.
Edgar 2-1 Atlanta. Slish being the difference.
Okay. Yeah, obviously, as always, let us know. Social media, X, Instagram, all that good stuff. Facebook, what your prediction is, and let's see what happens. 2:30 kickoff. It's probably gonna be like 2:55 kickoff, to be honest with you. Fox is carrying it as well.
Yeah.
Big Fox is scary as well as Emily's season pass. So gonna be closer to 2:55 on Sunday. So just be prepared for that.
7-0 free burritos. 3-1.
3-1 says 8x10 and Emily say 3-0 Philadelphia.
Man,
No.
Emilio just came in here to break Tyler's heart.
No.
He'll be left right after this, just
No,
like
no.
I'm just dropping this to ruin Tyler's day, and then just leaves.
So I got
think
a
this-
real quick.
Go
Is
for
it
it.
Wolf or is it Mosquera? Because I gave my 2 cents, and neither one of y'all footy fans saying Wolf is the man for the job.
It's Wolf. Wolf's gonna start. If it comes to
what?
that. I think Wolf is gonna start if it comes to it.
So if Yakimakis and Rios is out,
Right. I think Wolf
okay.
starts and then you put Silva up top. That's what I see. That's what I think.
who is this person? He's never been in here, and he's already trolling me with Miguel Berry.
He's been in here before.
Oh, I didn't
Real
recognize
Shit
the name.
blogs. Have you missed anything? Anything else that we need to hit on? The rules we hit on. The game, obviously.
Ooh, the flower kit. You like the flower kit?
Oh yeah, I like it. The Earth Day kit.
I like it.
You like it? Hate it? You gonna buy it?
My wife's a plant mom. I guess she's become like obsessed around. So we got like all these plants. It looks like when people walk in our house, it looks like we're like a grow house, but we're not. It's just plants. There's nothing fun in that room. But I bought it for her. She doesn't watch this ever, so she's not gonna know.
Yeah, they're in the store, MLS store. So MLSstore.com, I should say. So if you want to buy them, cop the kits, as the kids say. Go ahead and do it. Get yourself an Earth Day kit. I forget what it's called. MLS is calling it. I think it's like One Planet or something like that. Or Greener Goals Week of Service. Greener Goals Week of Service. So yeah, they'll be wearing, I think, warm-ups or one match. So yeah, go to MLS store if you like it. Look it up online. Take a look and get yourself one.
We got the good one. Like there's the other ones are ugly. Like just the colors. I like the green and then the colors of the flowers. Really, I would never wear it, but
It's for a good
I like
cause.
people that
I
like
like-
flowers,
I like
go
plants.
for it. Me too. Me too. Why is everybody laughing?
Okay.
On that note,
We broke Cindy.
So, Omar, I just saw what you posted in the Discord, by the way. Go get on the Patreon, get you access to the Discord as well. I don't know if y'all seen what he posted. Can't share it on the live
Okay.
show.
I'll join to see what it is. Oh God. what-
Yeah, but we should we should probably maybe change up the characters and the number of characters that we have in our title.
we'll work on it. I think we should end the show.
No, it's
Or
so
we
good.
just-
It's so good.
you gotta look for it.
Don't
Uh,
look.
Now
Don't
everybody
look.
going over to YouTube.
Don't look.
I just saw it.
Oh, you looked.
I think
Hit the music, please.
should we call it a
Just
night?
hit the music. Thank you, everybody. Philly sucks.
We're done.
Go to the website in the morning.
That's it.
Big news happening. Big news happening in the morning.
And if you're too
If
young,
you're listening in the morning, the news will already have happened. Probably.
Yeah.
We shall see.
and if you don't know who Michelle Branch is, the song is everywhere. Find it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Napster.
Napster.
What was it? LimeWire. LimeWire. Yeah, see? LimeWire. Just
Stream it legally.
go to the Discord. It's great.
Don't go burning CDs.
We're the butt of the joke.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
This is great.